So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find the Aramaic English translation of the word. And this translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then we can understand the time of the end. As per Yeshayahu the prophet, we find layers of understanding of the spring feast, the autumn feast, and also the returning of the cities of the Messiah laid waste for many centuries. As we read then Yeshayahu the prophet, we always find layers of understanding, because this particular prophet was very unique in the way the eternal being related with him. Obviously, he was a hated prophet during his time of service, contrary what so many unlearned people believe, that he was then a worthy and beloved prophet, shows that people are very far away from reality and also history. This particular prophet was absolutely despised by the existing system of his time, but he was very acquainted with the works of the eternal being. When we read then Yeshayahu the prophet, chapter 1:8 for instance, obviously is linked with chapter 61, and then later on we link also with Daniel, the 11th chapter, related with our time of the base of the stature from Daniel, the 2nd chapter. So as you can understand, the reason why so many of these chapters are obviously interrelated with each other, known as layers of the holy instructions. When the Messiah later on, he came over into history, he then observed very intently. He did say that not a layer of understanding is going to be left undone. So let's then observe very intently what's going on with the military and also the trade in this world. We understand obviously in Daniel the 11th chapter gives us very important information regarding then the time of the end, and obviously the very time where then trade is refurbished as it was and intended by then the sons of trade known as the sons of Ishmael. So then let's observe very intently during this time of the restoration of the cities of the Messiah. Those people who are not acquainted with it should read then the understandings of Yeshayahu, the 61st chapter, and then read the first recordings of the completion of the spring feast. As we understand, the Chinese system is already very importantly and very strongly used in this age. Many times and many years ago I did mention that the Chinese system is coming, and surely it did. And the very person in charge of this new system, the chairman of Alibaba's team, Mr. May, obviously, extremely reliable gentleman, and he obviously travels around the world, and he is improving and also encouraging then the medium size and tiny trades. And believe it or not, at this point in time, as it was said many times before, the Kingdom of the North is the Soviet Union, Kingdom of the South is Africa, and Kingdom of the East is China. China being obviously at this point in time the most important trade-wise. So let's then revise and then remind ourselves from a couple of years ago that I stated many times that the Chinese system is coming, and the Chinese system has come. So then let's observe what this new system of e-trade platform is then taking place in this world. So this particular person, Mr. May, the most important person of the new Chinese system, he is in the Soviet Union. That was very important gathering on Friday. And then let's observe what he then is doing at this particular point in time. He is obviously encouraging and helping then these people with, as it was said before, if people were listening to my recordings, they can understand the importance of maintaining oneself acquainted with these particular places, the kingdom of the East, North, and South. So there it is, infrastructuring and also the internet signal related with the new Chinese system. As it was said before many times, China is preparing a huge system of trade via internet. As we understand, Mr. Gates obviously a long time ago said that every person in the future will to have a computer, and by thunder he was right. Let's then evaluate what he then back then said, and then try to understand the importance of the Chinese system via internet, and understand that the Bank of China, obviously their objective is every person on the earth owning a computer must have a link with a Chinese bank. So then, let's then take some time and take a reading of this very important gathering in the Soviet Union. So then let's observe, what is this Alibaba? What is this Chinese system? Who is this person? What are they doing? Because we in the West, we are absolutely engrossed with sin, destruction, and then lack of morals are so despitefully and the situation in this country, the United States, is so bad that sometimes lacks words of explaining. The government is extremely unreliable at the moment. The paperwork is far behind. Obviously the nation is in absolutely financial pinch, as we can understand. And then what's going on in the military and many other branches of this country. Our country has no direction at this point in time. From a nation that was absolutely leader for so many decades, and then came a time, obviously, that the system has weakened. Where do we find this information? In Daniel? Daniel explains with a few words in English, despised. Now, the word truly is not despised, coming from Hebrew. The word is weakened. So then, as we understand Hebrew, extremely important. For so many times, from my days of understanding the holy works of the eternal being, his language is a must. Must learn Hebrew, so then the eternal being can relate with those people working for his team. And this word used in English was not the proper word translated from Hebrew. It's not a despising of a country. In the language of today, it's not despising. The system is weakened. So then, as we understand, there is also religious aspect, because this nation is part of an invented religious system that was invented some 300 years after the coming of the Mashiach. So then, understandably, as we read, this particular gathering on Friday had absolutely an impact, because it is revealing the importance of the financial system related with computers, and then the infrastructuring involved with it. And this giant of a system, Alibaba, is obviously improving and encouraging these tiny trades in the Soviet Union. Now, we can truly understand where this is going to end up. At this point in time, it states the infrastructuring and so on and so forth, but then later as we read then Yeshayahu the prophet and also Daniel, what can we understand from this system? What are then the trades that Mr. May is encouraging at this point in time? Any kind of trade, obviously. They are not going to reveal that the final objective is obviously strengthening the arms industry of the Soviet Union. This is the ultimate and only relevant objective of this participation of this giant system in the Soviet Union. So then, as we read then this portion of it, as then the West system is obviously even further weakened, let's make an inventory, take on an inventory what's going on in our own country in the West. What's going on with the crude? Well, the crude, before that Gulf leakage, there was obviously predicted, because a few of these scoundrels that were obviously in power back then, they made more money cleaning up the crude than pumping it from the ocean. If you don't understand this, read more of the articles. Become a person not only taken by power, but taken by knowledge and understanding of systems. That's the way we should relate with the divine being. So then, this particular system is strengthening the power of the Soviet Union, as we understand. Let's take a reading, for instance, from Daniel the 11th chapter, stating then that the kingdom of the north shall come with much equipment. This much equipment is related with military hardware and military strengthening and power. So as the system is starting, as I said before many times, the Chinese system is coming, the Chinese system is coming. I even gave a time of 36 months, roughly 3 years ago. And surely last year we had then the news and much more related with the Alibaba system. Understandably, there is more information related with this internet signal that later on is going to become faster and much more reliable, available for every person on the planet. As it was the idea of Mr. Gates that each person should have a computer, it was for the reason. And China must have then the top portion of this trade system, and it's already showing itself not only, listen to this, not only as a system of China, but then already making place as the first in the world, going above the system of the West, because the system of the West unfortunately is weakened. Not say that's evil, simply weakened, because the system of the West did not work. So then, because of these, what are the options for our country? As we understand, the crude has taken a dive real bad, and from 110, 120 per drum, it's down to 30 and 50 bucks. So then, let's understand why then the crude has taken a dive so badly. Well, let's verify what's going on in our economy. Our politicians, unfortunately, they are not very interested in the welfare of our country. They are only interested in their own banking because they want to retire earlier. Obviously, they don't give, you know what. And not only this, but they are not truly interested in what the world is doing, because most of these people, they are very related with the money printing machine, known as quantitative easing. This is a fancy way of saying print more money. And printing money is against the law. If people don't know this, maybe they should know. However, because of the situation, then certain habits, then it's hard to get rid of. But the politicians of today obviously are thinking in some way of reviving the economy, if they are worth their salt. obviously, they should be thinking in what our nation then can develop from, because China is replacing our money with their own. Crude is a piece of junk. It's no longer worth it as much as it was before. And not only this, armaments built in the United States is very expensive. And the Soviets are building them much more reliably and inexpensive without jeopardizing its high quality. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a pinch, big time. How our nation is going to recuperate from these disastrous economical troubles? As we understand, the Chinese system had a very important gathering on Friday, and the very top man of the new system of China was there, already gave his opinion, and he is involved with a very important, so listen to this. At a trade conference, B20 forum held earlier on Thursday, a warm-up of the upcoming G20 to be held in eastern Chinese city of Hangzhou in September, Mr. May promoted the initiative of establishing a new global e-trade platform, the Electronic World Trade Platform, or EWTP. E stands for electronic, W as whiskey, T as in Titanic, P as in Papa. That links global SMEs to logistics and inclusive financing. If you were listening to my recordings earlier, such as 12, 24, 36 months ago, many people laughed at it. And where are those scoundrels at this point in time? Maybe they are gone. So then, what is expecting for our future? Well, not much. What can we get information from? The best is learning Hebrew and understanding what the prophet Daniel has said that should take place. Now, religious people, obviously, they are of no use. Mostly because those who have never learned the Hebrew language, they cannot help very much. In fact, they are more a hindrance than a help when it comes to understanding the future prophecies related with our economy. So then, where do we read then in Yeshayahu the prophet and also in Daniel the escape from this financial disaster? The answer is very simply given in Yeshayahu chapter 1:8. And also the 61st chapter of Yeshayahu, you find then a very important place on the earth known as the Congo, or the place beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. Now, if you are a person responsible and you read and you understand the prophecies, then you're going to make a relation with the Congo. Why is the country is so important? If you understand the electronics industry, you understand there is a mineral by the name coltan. It's more important than gold, more expensive than gold. Wouldn't you be interested where most of the deposits are located at? The deposits are mostly located in Congo. 80% of the world's known deposits are in Congo, in Africa, Kingdom of the South. So then, what is the deal going on then in Congo? As we understand, the president, Mr. Kabila, has lots of trouble in his hands because he's not dealing with only his own country, but he's dealing with the warlords also in charge of protecting many mines for their own gain. So then, as we understand, without coltan, we can't have computers, we can't have telephones, and we can't have the equipment for the space industry. Now, the importance of coltan, it's because it miniaturizes electronic equipment due to its properties. Now, if you're a person that always thinking of the divine being or God or any other hack of divine being made up by their own, why they are not teaching these kinds of situations? Why are they not interested? Because they are drunk with the New Testament. People have no desire of learning the true reality of the holy instructions because they are obviously drunk by their own reading, their own understanding. They drink the water from their own cisterns, and they are not interested in what the divine being has for this country. Other people that are more reliable and more studied can understand the importance of learning Hebrew and obviously being very acquainted with what's going on in the world. So then, as we then read more of this very important visit, then we can understand many other sections related with then the military layer, and then later on becoming then the combat or the final combat of the time of the end. At this point in time, as you read then the importance of understanding and learning Hebrew and understanding of Daniel, the 11th chapter, you find relevant information regarding the new system. You can't have religion without a reliable trade system. Without proper, stable trade system, religion means nothing. So then, with this in mind, why is then the dragon of the east is so strong? In whatever beliefs a person may believe, you find then precision is the very situation in the east that is also worshipped. If you don't understand the Eastern culture, maybe you should take the time and then read. As we then read this financial system, the plan of China or the Bank of China of having each person linked with the Chinese bank, it's not very far away from us. As then the Soviets are going to start building even more arms, at some point they are going to take over the arms trade in the world. So be prepared, because our military and our factories are at the aim of this new system. There is nothing we can do, because the Holy Being has decided that this should be done. And the only way out of it is organizing Congo in Africa. It's the only way of maintaining our country, the United States, at least stable for some time. Because of the coltan industry and the importance of maintaining the trade and also the exchange of the money, our country deals with roughly 16 trillion GDP a year, and we spend 60. How do we have so much money to spend? Because of the exchange. Besides other situations, we understand exchange of our money is extremely important. So as then we understand the importance of organizing Congo, we then obviously come up with a plan of the usage of our money as a means of international exchange. That's how then our economy is going to start to improve, because as far as the new system, there is absolutely nothing that this country can do. Military, absolutely nothing that can be done, because the Soviet Union is set to become a place of the arms building, and then the Arab world has lowered down the price of the crude because of the partnership with China, and the crude won't go up anymore. We have to deal with the situation as they are. The old, very many times, there was a saying, give us the truth and we deal with it. So the truth is, we no longer are participating in the top countries of military equipment. Yes, we do have a technology, absolutely. The quantity and a high quality equipment is going to be built by the Soviets. This is already set. As far as the trade of the time of the end is given to China, and the Arabs are linked with China, And later on, then the Soviets are going to start to show themselves very strong in international waters and international areas of this world. The only point is left for us is helping Congo organizing its mind, and helping Africa, obviously, to organize itself. We're going to talk more of these next time as we read more of these articles and understand these trio or triple layers. The layer of tabernacling, the layer of trade, and the layer of the military. So please stay tuned, much more coming up.